And I say that, he picks up the deal along the way.
Needs to get the mats, needs to get out. Right now for iDrop, he's still got a hand. He has a hand on the ticket to Copenhagen for the moment, but the issue is, there's the pressure. It's on. If he goes down here, he's going to fall out of 5th, 6th place. He might go all the way to the top 10.
He gets an upgrade on the kinetic blade, now has 3 charges instead of the 2. Weaponry upgrade as well, and a couple materials just to keep him safe in the zone for now. And now time to use those bandages. They'll get him back up to a decent point, but he's still working with not much HP. And he can't afford to get sprayed right now. His next build's going to be in wood, and that will be a trigger alert to everybody looking at him that he is low and he is vulnerable.
Another game that we see for Noxy and Jerky base up near high ground. And the last time we saw them take height was absolutely abysmal for anyone next to them in terms of having saved mats, having a chance to breathe. Ping, Kyrie will be up there, looking to kind of absorb that pressure. Looks like so many teams are shambles at this one. No one really too dominant coming into this endgame.
Period. They're looking, they're waiting for that team to rotate. It didn't quite happen, so they start planning their rotation out themselves, opening up, looking towards the front of the zone where everybody's starting to blade their way on in. See a lot of players, so maybe blading a bit too early, just having to stop for a moment, take some time. iDrop doesn't really have much time, desperately trying to stay alive, but gets dunked on there and unfortunately snuffed out.
Jerky and Noxy now in the driver's seat. Have time to actually have something happen to them, but now it's just going to be Noxy who has to play. Will have a kinetic blade. Jerky not going to see the end of this one. Cammy and Seti will be able to absorb a lot of pressure down below. Mr. Savage, 400 below. This is just tough.
We saw the deal go down. Mr. Savage looking a lot worse in this situation. Just doesn't have the HP, doesn't have the mat, has some courage, but courage is not enough in this situation.
Flixie and Gripey have to be happy. So many teams that are inside that top 5, that top 7, who are right hot on their tracks are falling one by one. This team was in the top 3, whose opponents have already gone down this game. Tayson and Mustache, they have a chance to just clinch on to that second to extend the lead that they have inside this top 5. Meanwhile, leaders of the region, absolute tyrants, Vino and Queasy, looking a little bit lost in the boxes. Vino there, bit of a blunder. All of the Queasy now, we're gonna have to see a different type of game from him. This is not gonna be an easy win. He can just sleep on high ground now. He has to actually get active here and land a few of these shots.
Yeah, split up on the blade rotate, and it cost him. You have to follow each other tightly, otherwise it can all go to shambles. Mixing and Blackshot in the storm now, dropping down to low, and they see Kiri. They know he's an opportunity, and they're just gonna keep forcing their way into his face.
No mats, no chance, no health. They're gone. Flixie Gripey, another contender, falling right before them, and they look so healthy for the moment. Gripey taking a little bit of damage on the backside, and he finally goes down. Flixie now does have to do things as a solo. They only got 1 elimination while staying alive together. Now just hit that top 15. This is where the real placement starts to come in. The majority of the points, and it's also Flixie to keep the dream alive.
Yeah, but the problem is he doesn't really have much space to work with, just using the space he has. Now running around on builds that aren't his. Needs to be careful. Players in the backside of the zone. Connective 1, but the wall is there to block it off. He sees the players beneath him. He doesn't know which one to hit, but he hits the flying shot. It's Pablo Wingo he takes down, and those mats mean everything for him. Blocked from getting into zone, but just here, bounce back zone as well will benefit him so much.
Almost had a perfect lane, almost had the sun in his sights, but he's still trapped down. B-ball up top, clouds looming. It's pulse rifles. Flixie from the right side is going to be constricted, can't breathe, and he'll fall to Jay. Default and Kirby, they're going to be playing this through too, looking for more shots as men fall down. Default's not going to miss a single chance to do that damage, getting crucial mats to keep his run alive. Seti and Cammy are still in this one and are just starting their reign.
Seti and Cammy, this might be their chance for redemption.
Oh
might be
God.
their chance to finally pick up the victory royale that we didn't quite see them get. They got a couple second places, and now it's their time. But no, Cammy falls. Seti has to clutch up hard.
2 different angles of pressure coming in. He's blocking off the pulse rifles from up top, but how far that can actually last is the big question. He drops down, and Carmi's gonna stop him and distracts Carmi, who's trying to move up that top 5. Shimoki Swizzy also seeing their first chance at this one. A huge endgame for him. 114 points on the day. They're moving up the standings. This top 5's looking really close by the end of this game. Cosmo falling down. Smokey with the blocks. I mean, he's making sense of an impossible situation, but he's not going to be able to see the light of day either. It's up to Toos, who's dropped down and making things more close and personal against Cosmo. He'll wrap up the game. And this one that they have pulse rifles, and this one where they have the power, they turn it into points. It's Toos and Putrick with a win.
They gave up some space at the racetrack, and the question was, would that benefit them? Would that stand to be any sort of significant change in their fortune? And finally getting a chance to win a game. The pulse rifles being a big help to that, but they took height and they held on to it incredibly well.
They used that formula, they used the Rift Island, they used the power they have to absolute efficiency. That's a beautiful win from Toos and Putrick.
Yeah, and I think many people might forget these guys have been here in EU in the biggest stages for years and years now. They know how to do it, and finally getting a chance to strut their stuff. And not in an easy game as well. We saw so many different duos alive very deep in that game. They had to just sort of roll through everybody. Not a double-digit elim game by any means, not something too flashy, but enough to get the job done.
They're going to make it so scary for so many other teams on EU. And that's not celebration, that's relief, I feel like, from the face of Putrick. He's back in this one. A catch-up game for the boys. A very nice win in Game 10.
Understandably, right? The relief is relatable because after the back and forth we saw off Spawn yesterday, it didn't really feel like we get a chance to see them win a game like this. And so big props to them. Can they do more with this is the question.
That is the big question. So many other teams have that sense of relief on their face. It's a shake-up here in EU in Game 10. Adam, Analyst, what do we got?
Well, we're all feeling the reverberations from the shake-up there as Toos and Putrick go on to win game number 10. A real switch-up there. High ground reigning supreme once again to Carter.
Yeah, I mean, we saw on day one, they were having a little bit of trouble contesting Thomas HD and Malibuka. Both duos weren't having the best of times, but you saw the relief, like Shayo said, once they got that victory royale.
Yeah, turns out if you don't just immediately 50-50 off rip, it makes the game a little bit easier to play out the duration of it. And Toos and Putrick, this is kind of what we were asking for, I think, at the top of the show, is for them to capitalize on their off-spawn situation. And this, I think, was a perfect example of what this duo is actually capable of. Putrick knows as well. If we have those overclock pulse rifles, we've got to make them work for us, and they did.
You can feel it coming out of the screen, the energy there as well. Just as we said, the relief of not only just winning one of the games here at Grand Finals, but of getting those much-needed points as well. With only 2 games left to play, there isn't much time to get these points. Let's take a look and see exactly how the standings look right now, as we only have 2 games left. And as per usual, Queasy and Vino are rocking the top spot with 676 points. However, you can see we're starting to really see some changes, only actually minor ones, between 2nd and 5th here, with a few places up and down here and there. And Cammy and Seti still remaining firmly in the race here. 3rd position to Carter. They're looking good.
They're looking great. I mean, they weren't 2nd going into the day, so they have dropped down to 3rd overall, but I wouldn't be mad with 3rd place, right? That's more than enough. It puts you in qualifying range for the Global Championship. Reminder, it is 5 spots available. And I actually saw Tayson and Merstash in that 2nd place spot, so they're going to actually add 1 spot on, so it will be top 6 so far. But looking at the highlights from Cammy and Seti, I mean, they speak consistency, and if they keep it up, hopefully they can maintain that top 5.
And it's definitely still feasible for them to try and overtake Merstash and Tayson yet again for that actual overall 2nd place position. 9-point disparity is not really anything that Merstash and Tayson can feel too comfortable with.
Yeah, what you need as well in this kind of part of the game, the tournament as well, you need to make sure that at least one of you can clutch up when necessary. And even though Cammy went down, Seti managed to go through, follow through, and get there to the end to get some points, which is really, really pivotal. Let's have a look at some more kind of teams that are coming through as well, who are managing to get themselves in a good position now on the screen. We see 4th position right now, Gripey and Flixie as well. 27 eliminations, 434 points. They're looking like this could be global finalists right here.
Look, they're in qualifying range, but you have to maintain it, right? You have to be able to keep it up. Everybody is so close in that qualifying range for global champs, that top 5. Everybody wants it, but you have to show who wants it the most.
And again, we took a look at their actual rotation at the start of the show today, and it seems as though that's just holding true, because so far, out of 10 matches played, 80% of them have been south pulling zones, which has made it very feasible for Grippy and Flixie to just continue that maneuver over to Kenjutsu Crossing, making sure that they both have those kinetic blades, and it's being super impactful for them in terms of making it into those final moments of the last zone.
Yeah, they really do here. One thing we should focus on as well is Storm Surge. Obviously, it plays a huge part in any tournament, particularly grand finals, where it's so imperative that you make sure you work it beautifully. And you can see Storm Surge here as well is being utilized by our teams in different ways. What can you tell us about the way it's being used today, in particular in grand finals day number 2, Takata?
Yeah, so here we can see Ping and Kyrie, who saw that there was a south zone again close to Mega City. So what they chose to do is take some shots on an elevated position, but towards the congested side of that zone. So you can see here, hitting your shots, but it's all about the position you put yourself into to open up those opportunities to get those tags, Taco.
Yeah, when you have elevation and being able to utilize those red eyes specifically, and like you mentioned, Takata, a lot of it was just keeping that focus on the teams that are trying to trickle in from the north side of the map. They knew, Ping and Kyrie, that it wasn't going to be very easy if they bottlenecked everybody, essentially, because where they were based up on the outskirts of Mega City just made it so much more feasible, and X obviously being the indicator for where they actually chose to position themselves. So again, all these duos that are trying to make their way from Citadel, Anvil, Breakwater Bay, they're just essentially being trapped, forced into that congestion, forced into having to eat those surge tags, essentially. So some nice builds and shields being forcibly expended by Ping. And also a quick little shout out for Ping, because I believe he's tied right now with those 9 individual eliminations for most in a single game with Thomas.
Yeah, we saw that actually earlier on today, and it's great to see, you know, as we said, this lobby it doesn't get much more stacked than this. It's grand finals, the best 50 duos right now, Major 2 are competing, and to get, you know, 1 elimination is one thing. I'd be happy with 1, but 9 is incredible. We've got lots to play for. Obviously, this is the penultimate game now, not long to go. Kind of the final chance here for players to really make a stand and get those points, get themselves in contention at least for global finals places, Takata. This is exciting times, but it's also nerve-wracking times.
Yeah, I mean, the nerves in grand finals overall are always at an all-time high. So, you know, in these last matches, the players need to really show all the practice they've put in, the homework that they hopefully have done, and to be in qualifying range for that global championship.
Yeah.
Look, it's not about how you start. It's all about how you finish. 2 games left to go. Some of these teams can still make it happen.
Okay. Do you think a team from the 11th to 20th right now could break into one of those top 5 spots? Is it kind of a done deal? Do you think there's still an opportunity here? Yes or no, Takata? What do you think?
Anything's possible. We saw what Queasy and Vino have done from the high ground. Any team can make it happen. Even Thomas HD and Malabuka, they basically played 2 matches day 1 and they were top 10.
And maybe if those duos are able to find overclocked pulse rifles and get some nice height gameplay in, you can make those 100-point matches happen.
Yeah, the pulse rifles are dangerous, but so is our lobby full of players all desperate to get some points on the board ahead of that final game coming very soon. But this is the penultimate game. We are going into game number 11. Brace yourselves. Chaos is imminent. Here we go.
Game number 11, and nothing's even closer to amazing than how things are going here in EU. That game, the catch-up one, makes everyone so much closer, makes these last 2 games that much more special. You never know what happens with the top 5.
The points are finite. The points are finite. The margins are thin, but that's what you want out of a competition with the stakes so high. All these players trying to get to global championships. It means so much, but you have to get it done in these last 2.
This is pressure. More pressure than any of these players have faced even in the first game when they landed here in the grand finals, and I think this is about to be crazy. First place, locked down. The rest of the spots to globals, that's up for grabs.
I have my eyes on Vanyak and Kami. Right? Can you hold on? They've been such a staple of grand finals lobbies in EU over the past year, but they haven't quite had that standout performance, that standout result that has catapulted them into the tier 1 of EU Fortnite. This is a chance to do it, right? Solidifying a spot for globals would be a chance to do it. I look at iDrop and Matt, right? Can they continue to win off spawn here at the Anvil Square and solidify a spot while being contested? How historic would that be? And already the fighting begins.
Want to make sure that you're in link with your duo. You want to make sure that the entire game, not just spawn, goes well. Legacy starting. Also the likes of Gripey and Flixie. Is this the start of something that lasts a long time? A legacy, a dynasty for the duo who looks so good over these 2 days.
Let me tell you something. Nobody's having a dynasty while Queasy and Vino are still around.
True sub-dynasty. My apologies. I must have forgot. No one else has, though. Kefi Brachawa trying to find their way back, clawing through the ranks on day number 2. This is another fight overall inside the snow zones. Near Bastion, near Lonely Labs. And Jay Cosmo, I'm liking this. Usually, like to find every fight and finish it as fast as possible. Now a little bit more tactical in terms of what they want to do next. It's get a little bit of loot, go on your path, try to see that whole game out. 148 points on the day, that's a big switch up.
Yeah, but part of that is because they sort of got back to something familiar with what they were playing throughout the qualifying weeks, right? I talked about it yesterday. Jay and Cosmo throughout the qualifiers always contested those spawn. That's when they're at their best. Today, it's happened where Pachawa, Kefi landing on them, it can allow them to play the game they're more used to playing, whereas yesterday, we're sort of having to try a new style, figure things out.
It's dope when there's a path laid out for you. Luce Steno off spawn looking so good, and the way that Luce is moving through these builds, he gets to have an even more active angle over and over again. Sometimes, though, he might bite off more than you can chew. Unfortunate for the duo is we hype them up, but they're not going to be able to see the end of this game.
And that's some payback for Artis and Fire, bro. They have been in pain since yesterday. They got contested by Lucian Steno. They weren't expecting to be contested, and they really, really came out of it on the bad side. But here, in game number 11, turning things on their head, and like you sort of alluded to, Shayo, that is very, very huge in terms of the implications. Lucian Steno are a team very well within the range of potentially getting one of those top 5 spots for the Global Championships. Having to watch here in the penultimate game puts so much more pressure on that Osborne battle come game 12.
That might be it for them. Might be it for any team that's kind of in the top 10 and falling here right now. I mean, we're seeing how well these top 10 teams are playing, staying alive game after game. You're correct, Levin. There's too much pressure almost in game 12 for anyone that falls down. The first to be Luce and Steno. Meanwhile, tasting their mustache a little bit over the upper echelon. Have a little bit of breathing room inside that top 5. It's about 30 points in total, but they're neck and neck with their competitors, Seti and Cammy, right beside them. Just a little bit of a difference overall. It's a 9-point game. The fact that Flixie and Gripe are here contesting some of the greats in terms of how well of a 2 days of FNCS they've played is huge. And their goal is to just strive higher, get away from the bottom side of that top 5. 434 points in total accumulated over the 2 days. Their sights are set on Seti and Cammy. They'll have to fight through Fastroki, Paradoxy, and so many more duels before they get to fight the Titans in the endgame.
Yeah, these guys, of all teams in the lobby, have really overcome expectations, right? If you had come to me and told me you had Grabby and Flixie in your top 4 in FNCS, I'd have called you a liar. I'd call you a liar, I would. But these guys have performed so well. And I think it just goes to show, like, that when you work hard, these guys are in every script lobby. They're playing non-stop, they're watching, they're reviewing, they're thinking about how to improve their play. And it really, really has showed in the way they've performed this weekend.
It's not just luck, it's not just having pulse rifles every game, it's not just getting every zone. These guys have had all-round improvements, and that's so much fun to see. When it comes to heart, though, when it comes to a team that's been trying their best and given the opportunity to fly sky high, Paradoxy, Jerky on your screen have had some of the most powerful positions with the best loot in the game. But at the same time, have been head-to-head with Vino and Queasy over and over again. Anytime they have height, they have power, it's Vino overtaking them and stopping them in their tracks. They started the day over in the mid-20s. They've boosted themselves over towards top 15, but they need to make sure no one else gets in their way as they keep moving up throughout the day. Just 2 more games left. Savage and Vidil. I would say watching their game so far has been a coin flip. Sometimes absolute control, so good on Surge. They have position, they have a win under their belts. And the next game, Vidil trying to punch out. Savage lost in the driver's seat. Which way will it go this game?
Yeah, they have to have, you know, that sort of game performance akin to the best games they had throughout some of the qualifying weeks. It was so impressive then, and they have to sort of find that form now. Asa and Slove, we know what to expect from these guys, where it's just non-stop fighting, non-stop aggression.
they've kind of been the protein of EU right now. We're watching them the most in some of these mid games, in some of the beefier sections of the game so far, and they've gotten out of so many crazy situations. They've made things absolutely relentless for a lot of teams around them. But I think towards the back half of these games, they've kind of faltered out, and people are kind of tracking how pressure is being put down by some of these aggressive duos. And once again, Slove is down, so Siasa trying to get him back up. Vanya did not see that angle, but look at the fearlessness from him. A lot of the times, I would see even day one, Vanya would just box back up. Over here, he's ready to just clap back with a few more shots, and heals up, is ready to shoot some more.
No, definitely not. That guy's always trying to take, always trying to fight. That's what makes him so good. Cammy and Seti maybe aren't as aggressive in their nature, but they still find them tags, they still deal that damage. It's why they're always going to be high up in those sort of rankings, even if they aren't high up in their limbs they have in total. And this is why rotating through this area is pretty strong, where you can sort of use these trees as line of sight, hop from bush to bush, take trades like this. If they have bush warrior, it's obviously very beneficial to sit in bushes.
If you're not having that chance to get grassy with it, Mixon and Blacha will be sky high. We saw them utilize this type of high base over and over again on that first day, checking other bases around them, really controlling the space, and getting the most out of damage on day one. And day two, sometimes Surge hasn't gone their way, but this seems like another game where Zone's a little bit away from them. A lot of people are going to be going by super fast. They'll be able to land as many shots as possible.
A bit of a cash battle on our hands. Mr. Savage and Vidil. We saw them rushing over to this area, and it was because they wanted to be first to claim the cash, and they have that space. It won't be completely uncontested. Sinhead seems to be eager to try and steal it away from them, but they're alert and they'll be ready.
This fight can last a long while. Slappy probably going to be in for the next zone and a half. Hobbling on the prowl, gets Sky Dune, and unfortunately the curse of winning a game and not having the best one after the fact hits Putrid, because he goes down the Q roll. Out of all people who were bullied off spawn, they find eliminations, and Firebro, although successful in defending their off spawn location, are going to run into Thomas HD and Malibuka, and they might not be used to having this big of a firepower in front of them. Box to box. Also looks like they're fighting over a cache. Thomas will finish out Firebro. It's just the artist now, who I don't think is going to be able to last too long.
Yeah, and understandably, right? These guys have a lot to prove. They have a chip on their shoulder. Fights like this are so difficult to deal with. It'll be like fighting a brick wall at sometimes.
Artist lets go all the way away. Mistakes for them. I mean, every point they get, the longer they last, that's just more money in their pocket. They're looking to get towards that top 20. Get out of this bottom 30, bottom 40 position that they're in. Vino's with him side by side. Queasy also alive. Like celebrity appearances for them now. Checking in, seeing, we might win this game. I don't know. We're here though. Oh, Queasy's down, so maybe the deal just wasn't good enough for game 11.
I hope we get a victory lap for them. I hope they just win the next game. So like at least it's like we finished.
Win that FNCS.
Like, at least we get that from them.
That's what they're waiting for. Right now, probably just eating some food, having a good time.
When you build up that kind of lead, you get that kind of leeway, right?
Absolutely. No one even breaking 500 points yet. And as a reminder, Queasy Vino are at 676. everyone's just about 10 points in tandem with the person in front or behind them. That drops off significantly after the top 5. Fixie and Gripe are in this upper echelon. 210 points here in day 2 overall. 434 in total. They're taking their time in Mega City. You can see the patience, the routine they put down. And it's routine in EU to watch a team jump up for Rift Island. Looks like Chari and Gears are the ones who are the most close. Some people are looking to already jump up top, and Chari stopping them as Gears goes sky high to get some of the god loot that's available.
What would they be able to do with it is the question, right? I think game to game we've seen different teams play with the pulse rifles differently. Some teams maximizing its power, looking to soar to the skies, play for height. Beam teams below, some people just using it almost like they'd use any other weapon.
It's just patience for a lot of the other teams that don't have access to some of the best loot in terms of power in the game. I say that, but legendary loadout, Slurps for steady. Cammy, I assume, is matching that. The only thing they're going to be looking for is just epic katanas or epic kinetic blades. Kuro looking strong with Wheat in tow. They've been looking to just speed up a little bit in some of these games. It's nice to see. Team that slowed down towards the backside of day 2. Reason, Janice, some uncharacteristic losses in a few box fights. They haven't been able to see the majority of some of these games, but they're back. They're looking to climb. They're going to have a very big 2-game jump, but that means this one has to be at least a top 5, top 4 finish.
Yeah, they'd have to have 2 really, really strong games to close things out. I think the future for that team becomes very interesting, right? Because the standards they both hold for themselves, you know, a finish outside of like the top 15 potentially could lead to them splitting for next season, right? And looking to try and rejig the formula. And who they both play with becomes an interesting story in itself. They at least want to go out with a bang.
These guys didn't even show up today. I know it says quick stat. This is kind of just a quick flex, though. If Queasy and Vito slept them to this point, they just didn't show up. They wanted to watch the FNCS watch party instead. They'll still be second.
You know what's funny? They actually did ask me yesterday if they could like take a break like midway and cast one of the games with us. And I said, I don't think that'd be allowed, but it would be pretty funny.
I mean, what would Vito have to say about this one? 160 to the face of Jerky.
We're gonna see the 1v2 crack. Oh, the shields, and he actually just picks him up. A cheeky 1v2 on not just anybody in the lobby, on a team that is filled with firepower in Jerky and Fedoxy.
Vito's out here just doing side quests. This man's not even playing the FNCS. He's looking for fights.
And he's gonna get the reboot. This is why this guy is the best player in the world. Look at that, 160 to the dome. Jerky forced to sit down, and then just the tracking is perfection. As Fedoxy tries to skip away at the beach. Vino, man, a truly special player. The things he has done over the past year in Fortnite are absolutely unreal. And I think he himself personally wants to finish this year considered as the best British player ever. I think he's already there. Well on his way there.
Absolutely. More accolades all across the field. Not just Vino, not Benidrop. They've been doing some stuff, so let's check up on them with Mini Minor.
Thank you, Shai. Now, iDrop and Map second on the day in terms of points. And how are they going to get into these global championships inside of that top 6 currently? They actually got themselves a combat cache going into this mid-game, getting really good Storm Surge tags. And how about 2 combat caches as well? They actually managed to get themselves another one, which hopefully will set them up for success going on later in the game.
I've seen the reverse for these guys. I like the insight. But every time they have to fight for their game, that's where I feel like iDrop and Map are at their best. A lot of the times when they have these high spots, Vito and Queasy are alive, and the other teams are looking sky high, they have trouble just finding that execute, finding the finish. Mix and blotch, I mean, this is not the same pattern we saw on day 1 or day 2 when it comes to how they were dealing with Surge. that high base at the start of the game, hasn't found too much. Not too much at all, and now 186 below. This is not a time to hesitate. I think they're just looking for good timing here. That splash will give away that these guys are in a little bit of trouble. It's default and curb that they're going to be up against, and that's not an easy fight that goes by fast.
Yeah, these guys, Surge ticking away at them. They have to start coming up with a solution. Curb is just patiently waiting on that edit. He realizes that those two are in a world of hurt, but there is no urgency on their side. They're not pushing for the fight. They'd rather wait for Mixon and Blackshot to make a mistake of their own. You can see them again just aggressively pushing. 289 below. That's such a big chunk of damage that they have to make up for.
Yes, the plan is just to wait for more people to come in, try to heal out this zone. And they have a keg. They have some splashes, but they'll be running out soon. SMG and a shotgun in Mixon's inventory. I mean, it's not the best for the entire game, but it's the best thing they could do for this fight. They started fighting a little bit ago, maybe easily a bit more in their favor, but now affected in shields. Affected in mental capacity too. They let them just go out, pick up Zara first. Dropping off the top row, does RC coming? No, double cone! And he escapes just momentarily. Mixon almost had it. It's full wood build, and it seems to be a solo. Mixon affected as he tries to get into the box. It's not gonna work. Watcha now is forced to just go through all his heals as lightning keeps striking. An absolute disaster for this team.
Yeah, this is just not what they needed. As much as he'll push his way into the box and try and fight till the end, this is a team who looked like they could have potentially gotten into the top 5 global championship spots, and it's quickly slipping away from them. This last game after this one is going to have to be their best performance if there's any hope of them reclaiming one of those spots.
How many teams have that tagline other than the 11, right? Like, there's so many that have gone down so far, so many that are just having the same routine in 17th, 18th, 19th place. If they don't level up in this game, if they look to be the same old, everyone's gonna have to have that one big game. It could just be a tower collapsing on itself as everyone tries too hard to go for a big win.
The difference is that a lot of their biggest competition for that is alive in this game. And so they are gonna start closing that gap, maybe even overtaking them. So they've just lost one opportunity, right, to solidify that. And that just adds extra pressure to them.
Vino setting records and setting the same rotations again and again. Sees Twy up top, and this man is so low. Vino could pick him up. I think Twy's gonna be desperate coming in these boxes too, probably low on Surge, but never mind, he'll play it away. They found such a good line to get in. Old build, perfect rotation. Probably end up blading past the team that's in circle as well. And I guarantee that zone moves even more further left, so they'll have even more room to work with on the south side.
These guys are allergic to white landing, which you can see how they're just trying to head a bit more towards the south. Very intentional about where they're going as well, right? They want to have access to that side of the zone that's opened up in case zone continues to pull that way. We'll see right now where it pulls all the way back up to the north, but that's still fine. Yep. They can just rotate down that side. It's a bit of a change in elevation that will mean that they're somewhat protected.
Trouble, big trouble. Flixie's down, and it's just gripey. This will affect how far they can really solidify their spot in the top 5 before the last game. Gripey doesn't have the mats. He's running out of the firepower. I mean, has the blade, but even in health, he's in trouble.
Gripey is the firepower in this duo, though. So there is still hope in this game. If you can make the magic happen. Sees Mappy falling beneath him. And finds a massive shot. And 2 players' bodies that he can just loot from now. An upgrade in weaponry. A bunch of slurps as well. And now something is actually possible from this one. An Omega refresh for him here.
That is the definition of it. Omega refresh indeed. 4 slurps. Golden out inventory, max mats. The only thing he misses is that legendary red eye. But it's gonna be fine. Not the same situation for Tayson and Mustaches. They're almost down and out. a tough rotation for everyone in the lobby. It is pulled towards the majority of the players who are going to be absolutely pinpointed precision and aiming all their assault rifles, looking for any shots. And now all these duels are just forced into this ravine, locked down on low ground.
Yeah, and you can see Jason was just very close by to Queasy. He's a solo now. Vino just got dropped out. And you can see just how congested it is here. All these players, like you said, stuck in that ravine. And it's pulling backwards, so they're all going to have to start coming back through the ravine. Queasy using the flare just to get an idea of where his competition is. And it's Vacant and Speed that are just there on the other side of those walls.
He sees that just 1 or 2 layers above him. There is a free lane, but getting up there's going to cost something he doesn't have. That's materials. He needs to find a mega refresh of his own, but once again, 690 points. They got room to work with. Meanwhile, on heights, undisturbed, is Curb and Default. As they're looking fine, double connected. Shouldn't really be shot out. Vino's not even here, so you don't have to worry too hard. But look at how much they're repurposing a lot of their builds to hold on to this high ground. Now it's time for them to just look back and spray.
Yeah, but this game is so stacked. Let's move and surge. They need to do damage. They can't just sit above height comfortably, chilling till the end. Fetty and Cammy, they can't be comfortable in this game at all. They get pushed out of the lobby.
It's Vadil that pushes them straight down and out towards the next game. He controls now some of the second height layers. Squeezy just gets absolutely sidewindered in that box. Rifey now, still alive. Has a lot to work with, but his metal's gone.
He's burned through a lot of the materials he got from the refresh, and that's going to be the end as well. So many of the top dogs there just falling one after the other. It's that domino effect, and maybe that's the perfect situation for Vadil and Mr. Savage, who we know need to have a big last couple games, and this is their moment, this is their time to do it.
They found a sense of calmness, the eye in the hurricane, a spot where no one else is really actively building or giving them any trouble. And then again, they pull towards the front side of zone, new territory that no one's claimed just yet. Taysom Mustache going to be slightly beside him. Default falls once again as he gets shocked out from the sky. Malabuka and Thomas also on the low ground. So a lot of these teams are just resetting by touching the earth. Artor going to go down as Vanyak is in a lot of trouble. Looking at fights from box to box. He gets 2 minutes to pop, and now it's all up to him to deal some big damage.
Yeah, he has to make something happen. You can see just blading into the zone. Just trying to claim a position on the front, down to bare wood. And he has to be careful. There's players all around him. Those players beneath him might be an opportunity for him. Trulitz and Cheeky just running away. There's a player here on this player as well. The shot doesn't connect. He's still going to look for it, though, because he knows he has to connect with a shotgun if there's any hope of staying alive in this game.
Every inch of new land taken over, every box that's open is solo, trying to survive is taken out. If you do not move fast enough, if you're not at caliber, you are gone. And Tayson falls under the stress test as well. Malabuka not going to be able to heal this one out. Thomas HD has that slurp in tow, but does he have the time to actually pop it is the question. Pressured once again, you do not have a second to think
like
in this endgame.
Nobody has the time. It doesn't exist. It's being squeezed out from beneath their feet. And Mr. Savage and Vadil, they're trying to do another one. They need another victory out, and they're set up perfectly to do so.
We talked about them having a peak game. That's exactly what they need to have a chance at that top 5, a chance at globals, and that's exactly what they're going to be reaching for here. They're all not looking so good, but I see a knoll in the grass. I see a little bit of trouble here. That's Thomas HD that's moving in. Unorthodox rotation from the backside. He's popping that mist and rolling. Chabko on low. Looking to just weed out anyone that's coming in from the other side, but Ping has been active towards these back half of games. Zara also from the outside. Vacant sees him, hears that miss popping. He's gonna block it off, but he lands a big one onto his opponent in front of him. A big reversal though as he goes down.
And Thomas is looking for it. He's hearing players going down, and he wants a bit more of the action himself. They already have so many limbs in this game, but a couple more would go such a long way. Thomas now desperately looking. He's dropped his shotgun though. What? Needs to pick that back up because the fight is brewing. It's Vadil right above his box. Bacon's fallen beneath him. It's now up to Vadil to try and win this one out.
Time has run out for the rest of the lobby. Thomas looking to hold it out. Still another duo alive, not just these two. A drop in the box and possibly too much pressure to handle Vadil with the rip edits. It's good enough and they get a second win.
Vadil versus Thomas in a 1v1 there, and he wins it out. And Mr. Savage and Vadil pick picking up a second victory royale. This is 2 wins now today. We talk about big comebacks from teams. These guys are putting on a very, very big comeback.
Elegance. Elegance is this duo's tagline for this one. It looked like they were playing a completely different game on a wavelength of just peace from their boxes. They had no qualms with anyone until the end, where Vidil drops down and causes havoc for the rest of the lobby.
And the impressive thing about this duo is that in the 2 games where a lot of the big name players, a lot of the players at the top of the leaderboards who haven't been able to step up in that game, they are the ones that come through playing those positions. They're looking like Queasy and Vino light right now when they're up on high. But they're making it happen. Game number 11, they win, and that's so huge in terms of pushing them in a position to qualify for the Global Championship.
One more step closer to Globals, one more step closer to that top 5. Where are they specifically? And what happened to everyone else that was tossed in that EU blender? Only Adam and the analysts know the answers.
Yeah, we are desperate to find out exactly how the standings look with only 1 game left to play here in Grand Finals. But Vidil and Mr. Savage get a second victory royale of the day, and that is going to do wonders for their total score here, Taco. What a duo, and great to see them getting those points on the board.
Yeah, this really could not have come at a more pivotal moment for this duo, because they knew 10th place, that's not enough. They need to try and escalate themselves into that 5th place or higher. Ideally, obviously in the top 5, but what's most impressive is that they really took full advantage of some dead side rotations after having built up enough damage threshold, because that's been, I think, one of the looming factors for this team, is that they've had so many issues of not being able to actually maintain staying above that damage threshold. But as a team on height, they played it perfect.
Look, you can see that they won it. From the dead side rotates, like you said, Taco, to playing the late game perfectly. Looked like Queasy and Vino. Levin said it himself, up on the high ground. Vidil down below fragging. Savage prepared for the heal off if it needed to happen. But ultimately, securing that second victory royale that puts them just that much closer to qualifying Rage for the Global Championships.
It really does. It really does. I mean, you consider as well, we saw some of the eliminations there as well. Cammy and Seti and Thomas HD. At this point in the competition, you have to go toe-to-toe with those top duos, and they're absolutely doing that. Let's take a closer look at the standings. Remember this as well, we are only 1 game away from our final total score. So this is how things currently stand here. We're going to take a look and see exactly. I can see, Taka, you're very keen to jump in. Which duo sticks out for you?
Well, it's mostly the fact that I'm noticing Mustache and Tayson, again, they're already qualified to Global, so you immediately jump down to 6. But who's in 6? Malabuka and Thomas, which means Vidil and Mr. Savage, if they're able to close it out, could potentially see themselves solidifying a top 5 in the qualification for Globals.
Look, right now, they are literally in qualifying range, but they're the cutoff. Mr. Savage and Vidil are the cutoff to qualify to Global Championships. Under them, iDrop and Mop. They're close, and it's still anybody's game.
It really is. I mean, we can see her as well. We saw them begin the day in second place here, but now Cammy and Seti in 4th position, going down 1 place. Okay with 1 game to go, 458 points. I mean, they're still in a really good position on the leaderboard, and again, managing to sustain as a duo and get themselves into that end game and make sure that they do whatever they can to get a global championship spot.
Look, this is a team that won it all at the FNCS Invitational. If they can't qualify here in Major 2, it's not going to be the greatest circumstance. This is a duo that has such high standards set for themselves after that invitational performance. You know they want to be in Globals. This is one of their best opportunities to solidify it.
They won it, and they almost have it. Cammy and Seti are just this close, but another duo that wants it as well. Vanyak and Carmi in the 3rd place spot on the leaderboard, 462 points. They are in qualifying range, but with 1 more match to be played out, they have to maintain that spot on the leaderboard.
And it's going to be a close finish as well for Carmi and Vanya, because taking a look at the leaderboard points specifically, this team only at 462, Seti and Cammy 458, but they're all within a victory royale range of each other. If Vidil and Savage, for example, can collect another victory royale, or even iDrop and Mappy, it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, that's what makes it most exciting, for, I guess, for you guys watching at home, us here in the studio as well. The fact that, yes, Queasy and Vino have been unbelievable across the 11 games we've seen here, but those spots here for global champs are so imperative, because we know that they are like the gold dust in this competition. You want to get one because you want to be there in Copenhagen later this year. And I think with one single game left to go here, it's looking mighty, mighty exciting here. Let's take a look as well at Gripey and Flixia as well in 5th position here as well. 20 eliminations, 402 points in total right now. Again, a team that has got into that top kind of like upper echelon of players, and again, they are massively in contention here.
Right, I mean, Gripey was forced to clutch it out as a solo here in the most recent match, but you know, when you need to make it happen the most, it's in these grand finals. It's in that last match of the day. So now all these duos that we've looked at, all these storylines that are in qualifying range, it really just all comes down to this 12th match. Will Cammy and Seti, the invitational champs, be able to get a spot in the global championship? Will all these other duos that are in qualifying range hold their position? Or will a duo like Blotcha and Mixin, like iDrop Mop, like Steno and Lushi take one of those spots?
Like, as far as Group A and Flixia are concerned, though, I mean, after what we just witnessed from Group A, that patience is a virtue. He was just poised and ready to strike and took full advantage of iDrop and Map when they were trying to look for a revive in the middle of all the chaos taking place, and just beautiful execution as far as Group A is concerned. And those extra points, that God-tier refresh, like Levin said on the cast, really just came in clutch for him there.
Looking at the standings as well here, obviously we know that 8th through 10th right now doesn't qualify for global championships, but you can see there's only 24 points between iDrop and Map and Vidil and Mr. Savage. We've got such a close, tight-knit group of players right now. Do you think this leaderboard can shift with one game to go or not? Do you think it's going to remain as it stands right now?
No, 100%. The tables can't. We're on a rocky boat right now. We're drifting through the ocean, and one wave is all it takes to mix up this leaderboard.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we are all aboard the SS Grand Finals, and anything is possible, Taco.
Yeah, I think especially, though, with the way that things are shaping up, it is such a close finisher here for these teams that are trying to just figure out if they can maintain top 5 or squeak their way through.
Yeah, this is it. We've got such little time left. There's only one game left to play here. We know you guys are ready to rock and roll. We know that we are here in the studio. The players are as well. It is all about to come to a culmination. We're going to find out the conclusion of Grand Finals here on EU. It is time for the final game. It's time for Game 12.
Two days of competition in EU, some of the most unprecedented things we've seen, and we're here now, 11-2K, an unstoppable force, immovable object, and 50 of the best duos in the world.
I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited to wrap things up because so far today, we have just seen so many different names pushing themselves in and out of contention. One team's in one game, the next game they're out. They're in, they're out, they're in. Are you in? Are you out? You have to make your decision in this final game because the stakes are so high. The global championships are right around the corner.
There is no more after this for this major. This is the last chance for a bunch of these duos possibly, as you never know what happens between now and Major 3.
I honestly cannot wait, not just for the conclusion of today, but the implications after today, right? Because we know, players are desperate. Players are hungry to make it to the global championships. I would not be surprised if a lot of the players in this lobby decide, look, switching it up for the next major. Playing with somebody else. I want to find something. I want to find my partner. I want to find the Vino to my queen.
Yeah.
Right, that's what they're going to be looking for.
Oh, but they're a dime a million, honestly. These guys, the way they play, what they've done today, 696 points. Huge and leading the pack in first place. Now, every off-spawn fight becomes a little bit more tense. You can see it's not 50-50 for one chest. Map and iDrop back it up a little bit, choose not to challenge. I want to prolong this as much as possible.
Everybody in this last game, just a bit more cautious in their approach. Understanding that it's your last chance. Even if you aren't one of the players competing for the win, even if you aren't someone in contention for one of the top 5 global championship spots, there's money on the line.
Big money, big money.
Big money on the line. And if you've been grinding all season long, you ain't just gonna let yourself watch the money pass you by. You're gonna try your best to move up, even if it is just a tiny bit in the standings, to get that extra bit of Wonga. Tusen Putrick, who we saw win a game earlier today, here against their biggest rivals of the weekend.
Let's finish the day as we started it at the very beginning of EU's FNCS. A fight on a racetrack where both duos move super fast. Malibuk and Thomas HD, Tusen Puchik just want control, or maybe a little bit of nostalgia. That first day, every single game, they went head-to-head. Anytime they tried to escape a third party as well, picked them all up. But this one is tempered, a little bit more calculated. They want to leave a message here. It's not just about this FNCS, it's about the future, it's about globals.
Yeah, as it stands right now, with Mustache and Tayson being in second place, the slot has moved down to 6th in terms of who gets the spot for Global Championship. But because Malembuka and Thomas are 6th, it's moved down to 7th. Which means, as it currently stands, Vidil and Mr. Savage would qualify for Global Championships. The team on our screen here, Banyak and Kami, would qualify. Gripey and Flixie, Seti, Kami, Queasy and Vino, those would be the 5 teams who qualify to the Global Championships. And what 5 teams that would be. But they have to make this game count. And for Gripey and Flixie, trouble in paradise here. Mega City has been a stronghold for them. And here in game number 12, Flixie, the leader, he's down.
I've got goosebumps, man. It can't end like this. They've had such well-structured game plans. So many good games in a combination of both days. I'm not sure if Gripey has that reboot just yet, but he does not have the firepower or the know-how to even take on a duo. And it's not endgame. He's not going to be able to just look at a box and get a mega refresh, so... This is not the same situation that we've seen Gripey come back from this early before. Meanwhile, Mixon, Blacha. I mean, these guys started off the competition strong when it comes to unexpected stories. Where do they come from? How are they maintaining 3rd overall on day 1, 4th overall on day 1? Those questions a little bit put down a bit day 2, not as good. They're right there, just on the outside of the top 7.
Yeah, people was asking me, what's day 2 about? Day 2 is about the players who can make the best adjustments in between day 1 and day 2. It's the players who, after day 1, hit the VOD review and figure out exactly how they're going to attack the second day. And for these guys, that second day has been the hurdle they've stumbled over. And hey, even if they aren't able to solidify that spot for globals, it will be a massive, massive learning lesson. I will guarantee that they will come through in Major 3 and make amends. But hope's not lost yet.
Not at all. This is a team that's got a new hope. A fire under their feet. When it comes to hurdles, they've leaped past them. I drop in map. They're one place away from Copenhagen. One place away from globals. And they're trying their best to stay in.
And think about who they're going up against for that one place. I drop in map versus Mr. Savage and Vidil. iDrop and Mr. Savage were playing with each other the past 2 seasons, and it didn't go as planned. They were landing at the Anvil Square, they were getting contested, and quite frankly, they were losing a lot of the time. And both players, right now, battling for that spot. Who is going to have the bragging rights over the other?
Well, we know for Savage and Vidil, this tournament, these 2 days, have been glorious. 2 wins, at least, on day 2. I mean, these guys just look brand new. And when it comes to games where Queasy and Vino aren't in the mix, when it comes to games where some of these top teams aren't here to kind of have control of high ground, they're the 3rd ones up, the 4th ones up that just guaranteed win the game.
And it's good, right? It shows that they clearly have an understanding of how to execute those sort of plays, those sort of moments. I think after their high start to the season, I spoke to their coach, Bloodex. He said that there was an air of complacency that had just slipped into them just because of how good they were doing. And understandably, right? Especially with how long it's been, I think, since we've been able to see Mr. Savage do so well. But now finally getting back to being humble, being hungry, which is what it's all about for that duo.
Ironically, that was one of the metas where you had to eat the most.
Right?
Now with that huge change, it's been a big step up to try to adjust to this type of gameplay. They should be good for this game, but they're going to be playing defense to stay inside the top 7. Gripey still in the same spot. I mean, you have to imagine the nerves, the tension in this one. You have to make the right call.
I think the key for Gripey this game is just keeping them up on surge where possible, hitting shots like that, and just trying to get Flixie up and staying alive as long as possible.
He's forced to be on this hill and this hill alone, though. Not another bush that he can really go by to. If he wants to move, it has to be silently, so the kinetic blade is not an option. And you see, every time he tries to go towards Mega City, maybe get a little bit more loot, farm up, get inside the buildings. There's too many high bases inside the town that are actually stopping them. Santa Lucia, we talked about them having 2 perfect games. One of them gone now. This one has to be a loud entrance. This one has to be perfect for them all the way towards the end if they want to elevate. And they're going to be in this box fight. They have to force so many fights, make up. A lot of the time they miss to Elam points, and they are right now. That goes up against Vidil. They're actually breaking in to top 7 directly at the mouth. Vidil down, Savage alone.
That is huge. It's going to leave Mr. Savage with a world of work to do. Mr. Savage doesn't have Vidil with him. How does he adapt? Where even is he right now?
Santa Lucia are really proactive right now. This is Queasy, I believe, who they're shooting at. Got the shield down. That'll attract the attention of Vino, who should be close by. Savage moved around. Looked for a little bit more, but I guess got separated ultimately. Vino. What? Hot knife, butter, steam. That's all. Absolutely yummy, that play. Oh my goodness.
It's just Vino things. It is just Vino things. Nothing he does now surprises me anymore. I just expect greatness. I expect excellence. And I talked about last game, them having that victory lap. Can this be a game where they just win things just to crown off their performance, stretch their record now even further, and pick up their 7th win?
This could be the time. I see why so many people are on this side, and possibly why Vidil was by himself and Savage wasn't around. There's a cache that 3 teams are fighting for. I mean, this is game 12. You want the best chance to win. That loot cache gives you shield, ammunition, mats, weapons, a lot of upgrades to use. Vidil maybe push forward to early based on it. Santa Lucia wanted it 100%, and obviously Queasy Vino, I mean, if you're anywhere near Kenjutsu and there's a cache, they will be there. And they've hit 700 points on EU.
It just looks ridiculous. It doesn't even look real. It looks like there's something wrong with the graphic. That's how unbelievable what they have accomplished today is. And even if the focus hasn't been on them the past couple games, even if they've gone a bit quiet, what they have done is absolutely ridiculous. It cannot be overstated how good they have been and how unlikely it is we'll ever see anyone do anything like this again. And if it's going to be anyone, it probably would be them. These guys are so good, so much better than everybody. What a team. What a weekend it's been.
The amount of times I've heard Queasy say, imagine if we just had zone over the past few FNCSs. This is the one where they actually had a chance to show what that means. Beautiful. Vanya and Carmi. They go down 3rd place overall. Vortex and Jap will have to jump to it. There's no way you're letting any elimination or knock just be a slow roll. You want to pounce, use every advantage, and Vortex is doing just that. Shots within the air. Double connect the blade away. He has to leave his teammate behind.
They get what they want out of this. That loot from the cache. Capping off their metal there. They even have some spare metal there to work with.
I mean, that's good for Seti Kami. For Gripey, I kind of guess if he's able to get Flixie back into this game, but this is 3rd place overall in trouble. 462 points. Now, will it hold inside the top 7? Not sure, because a lot of these teams that are top 10, top 15 are looking really good in this game. They're actually being proactive, looking to see exactly what they can do next. Gripey's in the same bush. He's got 2 more walls.
This is so rough, right? So many of these teams that we are just tracking in this game just to see whether or not they get a spot to globals are just splintered. Solos. Mr. Savage. Solo. Calm me there. Gripey now. It is just such a difficult situation here in game 12. And it almost just makes it harder to predict who it's actually going to be. At any moment, one of these teams could fall at any moment. It could be Vino knocking on their doors, and it's very unlikely they have an answer for it.
It's so funny to see like every other solo struggling, and Vino with his duo alive choosing to be a solo. It's just terrorizing every single box. The flip side of things, from Kenjutsu all the way to Nadi, they get their wood up over here, and they're able to move out. Another zone that they're very familiar with. Mega City, a little bit troublesome to actually navigate towards the end game. You run into a lot of just, you know, pre-existing structures that you have to mine through as a solo. It's a bit tougher to end up switching layers, so you want to make sure your duo is alive. The Sentinel and Lucia doing a good job at being on the same page. They need to find some ammunition somewhere. That's the goal. Jatko kind of stopped in his tracks, and Sentinel's just eyeing out everyone here. He's not going to miss. A few block shots, though. He has the means to get his shields back.
This has to be a perfect game for Lucian Steno. The opportunity is certainly there. Some of their biggest competition aren't looking as strong, aren't looking as powerful. It's a chance for them to get back into things.
Absolutely. We mentioned those solos. Where are they right now? How did they get there? Mini Miner has more context.
Now let's take a look at 2 or 3 teams that are trying to get into that